Now we have the create item function ready. So this will be used when we drop an item and we create a new item. Now we only have 2 more functions to make inside this file. We have a couple of functions in other files to make though. So function item spawn pos, which is going to be the function which we call to find the spawn position of the item that we want to drop. So local position is the player's aim position, the position in which the player's line of sight is hitting the ground. Get shoot position. No, that's wrong. I guess the shoot position is the position where the camera of the player is. So where your head is. Local angle or ang is going to be apply get aim vector. And there we go. Local td going to be a table. And now we need to do some calculations to find a certain position which is 100 centimeters in front of your eyes in the game. So td start at the position of the head. TD end position is going to be position plus angle times 80 centimeters. I guess that's a good distance for the item to be spawned in front of your face. Filter, which we need to filter out the player so this trace which we're shooting from our eyes won't hit the eyes of the player. Local trace equals util trace line td, and that will return the position in which we hit something. The position of the end point of this trace which is shot from our eyes. And the last function in the database.lua is going to be the inventory pickup function. It's a beast of a function. It's going to be quite large, but not the largest one we've made. Function inventory pickup apply local trace. We need to trace from our eyes to the point that we're seeing and see if we hit an item. So trace is table trace start equals apply eye position. Trace end position equals trace start position plus apply get aim vector of the player times a little further than the drop. So if we drop it and pick it up again, it's going to go quite a little longer than the drop distance. And trace filter is going to be the player again, and local trace is going to be the function, the table that we just made. Trace line trace. If the trace that we just made hits the world, hit world, then the trace didn't hit any item that you were aiming at. You probably missed it. So return end in that case. And if the entity that you hit with the trace is not valid, so notice the exclamation mark in the start of that entity. If it's not valid, then you return end. So it has to be a legit item and before we continue the function. So if the trace entity get nv bool is possible to pick up, remember we put the pickup bool in the function, then the local item equals get items and the trace entity's item name, the item name of the trace entity that we just shot with the trace that we made from our eyes. And we string item name. So it will look up the item that we're looking at. If item.can pick up equals nil, then This is another value which at least I used in my game modes. In player inventory give item trace entity get env string item name 1. So you give the player one piece of that item and then you remove the item. If not, an item can pick up. I don't like the can pick up. We're going to change that. We're going to change that with this function. Oops. I'm not going to do it like I did in my game modes back in the days. Apply inventory give item trace entity get env string item name yes, and one of it and the bracket, and then remove the entity again. We could have just copy pasted, but I didn't. I'm sorry. And just end it all. And we need a hook because each time we press Q, we want the Q key to be the pickup key. So when you press Q, this function is going to call and it tries to search for an item that is in your line of sight. I'm going to call the loop inventory pickup, and the function which we want to call in this hook is going to be inventory pickup. There we go, and yeah. Oops, had to pause a bit. But I'm back. Okay, so now we're done with the database.lua. We need to open cl_database.lua and add a couple of functions there. Let's scroll down to the menu function. I guess that's this one. And we're going to add the functions to drop and use an item on the client side too. So inventory drop item net, and we're gonna start a stream of data, which is the inventory. We called it inventory drop net.write string, and just to be sure, we do a toString function of the item name. So it's always going to be a string. Don't get any errors that way. So net send to server, and I think that's gonna work. Let's hope so. We're gonna test it afterwards, and then we just copy paste this, change this to use, and change this to use, and yeah, I guess that's it. Control S. Now we need to remember we made the buttons for both use and drop in the previous tutorials. We added the add use function here, at least I did. So we're gonna do just that. If button use is pressed, then inventory use item. Yeah, that's use, and then we have drop right here. And I think everything's gonna work now. I'm just gonna test it and see if I forgot something. We have an error already, and it's located in database.lua, the other file, at line 198, and it's my typos, of course. It's written res Eve. So typical me, my bad English. It's probably fixed now. Let's have a look.
Okay, so I tried to drop an item and we got this strange object here. This is a typical bug with the entity, so we need to check out the code and see if we find any bugs in the entity.
Yeah, I was looking at a couple of things, and I noticed we hadn't made the entity which we want to base our items on yet. I thought we had it. It's been such a long time since the last tutorial, so I thought we had made it, but no. So go to your Gamemode directory, your head directory, the top directory of your Gamemode, where you have the content, entities and Gamemode folders, and open entities. Right click new folder and call it entities again. Then we make a new folder called item basic. You might remember this. I was explaining that we needed to make an entity called item basic in order for it to work. So now we're gonna do it. cl init.lua. It's going to be the client side of this entity. Entities are, for example, oh, not a folder, I'm sorry. Just follow with me, just follow what I do while I explain to you what entities are. Entities are, if you've played Dark RP, you have the drug labs. Those are entities. Or anything, like the bouncy ball, props are entities. Anything that actually is an object in the game is an entity. Shared.lua. Open cl init.lua and we'll code the little code that we actually need to code in the client side of an item. It's damn little. Let's see. So we have to include the shared file, shared.lua, and function and think. I'm going to add some functions for you to use, but I'm going to leave them blank. The think is being called each time the server has a new frame, so pretty damn often. And to draw is called every frame, and we want to draw the model. Draw model. And that is about everything we need to do on the client side. We only need to show the model of the item, actually. So let's X that and let's open init.lua. This side has actually quite a lot of code. Add client side lua file cl init.lua. Oh, also one thing before I forget. Go back to the Gamemode directory in your Gamemode directory and go to database and cl database.lua and go to the very bottom and remember inventory use. I changed this bug while I was debugging, so it should not say items here, it should say inventory use k. So in cl underscore database.lua at line 170 something we'll have the inventory use and the inventory drop, and they should have k inside their arguments, as far as I know. We'll see. Let's continue on the init.lua in the entities folder. So I'm going to browse there. There we go. Item basic. Items.lua. So add another client-side Lua file. This sends the file, which is going to be client side to the client. Share.lua. Include shared.lua. Function and initialize. It's going to initialize the model, self entity set model, which is being this set by the database of items that we made. Get item, self get env string item name, which we set when we create a new item in the create item function, and the model. That should work very good, I hope. Oh, get env string with a little t, sorry. Then we need to add physics to it, because it needs to bounce about, like all entities do. Entity physics init, and it's going to be solid physics. Then self.entity set move type, which is also going to be move type v physics. Then self, oh sorry, it has to be a dot, not a semicolon, or a colon I mean. entity set solid, it has to be solid, solid physics, self entity set use type, which makes us able to use this item. Press E on it and something will happen. Simple use, local physics equals self entity get physics object is the command to return a physics object of a model or an entity. Hard to explain. This is basically code I've been taught since the dawn of time, and I've never really done anything else. Phys and phys is valid. Then phys enable gravity, so we get gravity on this entity. True. And physics wake end. This will just initialize the whole the entity and make it work. Set item name to name, so we can change the name of the item. Item name equals name. Okay, so far so good. Then we're going to edit function and use activator and caller. I can't explain the arguments here, but if you write this self get env string item name use activator self. So caller is the player apparently. No, the entity that's being used, and the activator is probably the player. And yeah, we're just calling the function that we added in the database of all the items in the items.lua. And there we go. And then we're going to add some empty functions just for you to have fun with. Touch is when another entity touches this entity, then that thing will be called, and the end here is the colliding entity. And we have function and on remove, which you can use, will be called when the entity is removed, so you can make it explode or something. And function and think, which I've explained before, just goes, it's called all the time. So you gotta be careful with that one. Let's open shared.lua. Shared.lua. And now we're just going to put the entity type and name and everything like that in it. So it's going to be an animated entity. And base is going to be base entity. And print name. This is only used in sandbox, I think, but let's just add it. Item. And author. Well, wouldn't that be Goature? And there we go. We seem to be complete. Let's try to run this. Okay, so I look at the server and we get this error. Init line 6 attempt to call global get item. I think we renamed it to get items. So let's have a look at that. Gamemode. Entities, item basic, init.lua, line 6, is that so? Get items, let's try that. Get items down here too. Yeah, let's try that, X. Yes, so the error was quite simple. It seems that we haven't declared the add health function to the game mode, so let's go ahead and change that. It's in database, items.lua, and we just let's just change this to player health. I think no, big H health equals I think it's set health actually. Yeah. And then we just take the player's original health. Health plus, oh, probably like this, plus 2. And let's copy that to the remaining sodas. And everything should be okay. Let's try to run that then. So eventually I managed to figure out what the error was, and it was quite simple. The hook called key Q doesn't exist, so we need to make it. So that the pickup function actually will be called when we press the Q key. So let's have a look here. Go to cl.init and make a local function called key Q. So if input dot is key down key Q, and this is the cl underscore init of the cl underscore init.lua of the main directory of the Gamemode, where we have the player.lua, share.lua, database folder, etc. It's not in the entity. Then net start, and we need to declare this this stream too. Start key Q and net send to server. So we send no information, we just start the stream basically. Hook call on the client side too. Key Q Gamemode apply. Then we end I believe. And we need to do a hook.add think, so it's going to be called all the time, checking if we press the Q button. Q pressed key Q. So this will call this function in case, like all the ticks of the server, and if the key Q is down, then we send the information to the server that it's down. Let's carry on to init.lua. Yes. Here we need to add the net.receive key Q, comma function length and player hook. Each time we receive information in the key Q stream, we know that the Q key has been called at the client. So key Q Gamemode player, and just end the function, and we're done. And then you open init.lua and you drop the util.addNetwork string key underscore Q at the top of the file. And you also, I did a typo again, so just change it to net.receive properly written. Let's try it. Yeah, okay, so the fix was quite easy. If you just go to database, open database.lua, and in inventory take item, you add database send right after inventory save, and at inventory give item you add database send at the end of the function, just like this. And if you've done that, you're ready to go, and everything should be working. Let's test it.
The moment of truth, final time, I hope. So let's press F1, hold over the blueberry soda, drop to the floor, press, and let's check if we actually lost something. Yes, there's just 3 blueberry sodas left. There's Q, F1, and we have 4 blueberry sodas. Good. Use it from the menu. We got health. Blueberry soda was lost. Drop. Blueberry soda was lost. Press E and we added health and blueberry soda is still gone. Okay, good. Everything's working now.
So now we are complete with the inventory as for now. We will of course add more items as we go. And I'm going to conclude part 8 of this Garry's Mod game mode creation tutorial series, something. And may the code be with you. You can download the code in the description, and if there is something wrong, comment, and I will try to respond as fast as possible. Thank you and goodbye.